The warehouse is open. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 57, the Connor McDavid game-worn authentication program. I'm Scott, very pleased to be welcomed back. We'll say welcome back to, and welcome to our friend Patrick Midney of MeiGray. P. Midney at MeiGray.com, Authentication Associate Supreme. And we're here, Patrick, to talk Mr. McDavid, as in Connor McDavid. 26 points thus far in 16 postseason games, 9 in the 5-game ouster of the Dallas Stars. Dude's got 43 in 90 for his career. I did a little bit of research, which I know is very rare for me. Another 100-point season this year, almost 1,100 points in 700-plus career games. He's good. Suffice to say, his pieces are available at MeiGray.com. There is a deal with Mr. McDavid, and today we're talking about what goes on behind the scenes with Connor and authenticating his stuff. Patrick, welcome back to the warehouse. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Always a good time coming on.
We appreciate it. All right, Authentication Associate means you can tell some tales and take me behind the scenes and how the sausage is made. Walk me through the process with authenticating a McDavid game-worn sweater or a piece of game-used equipment.
So we get, the shipments of McDavid gear. You see a lot of sticks and skates, and everybody always likes to mention the socks we have, the photo match socks. So we get them, back from the Oilers and just, break it down into different gear types. Like right now, I actually have just sitting right next to me like 8 sticks. Gotta try to match those. It's pretty tedious at times, but you break them down into a piece of equipment and you go game by game through the season. And then you can say, well, it's not this stick. Is it this one? And just rocket through it like that as best you can.
So when you're rocketing through, are you using still photos? Are you using video? Are you using Ultra HD video? Again, it's Connor McDavid. There are cameras on this young man.
Yeah, luckily, being Connor McDavid, the Getty images for every game are pretty, there's a lot of them of them.
Substantive. Yes.
Yeah, and we get the high quality ones. So, for example, on the sticks, and actually, I mean, one of the things you would look at that
Beautiful.
if you're lucky enough is where is it? They have the serial numbers.
Yes.
So a lot of Getty images on these McDavid sticks, you can actually match them to the number. Makes
Very
it
cool.
easy.
I'm sure it makes it easy. How often do you get? You said, we get pieces. Is there sort of are they monthly? Are they biweekly? Are they after every a set amount of games, or does it sort of float throughout the season?
So since I've started doing the McDavid authentication as of recently, I know of about 2 shipments during the season. I actually am trying to figure out when to get some more stuff. I'm going to be in Florida for the final, and I know last year before game 1 picked up some stuff, and there was some stuff we got earlier on or later in the winter.
Mhm.
So typically a couple times a year, and you know the items change, right? So I'll get into more of that. How long he uses some of his stuff, but uh, periodically through the year.
Well, I was going to say, and actually, we can flow nicely into that next question, where you said, and we're aware, and if you follow him a little bit, he tends to wear his gear for extended periods of time, which is wonderful, and then that's you can see that because they're photo matched to this, and the list goes on, as opposed to yes, we found a mark and he wore it in this game, and then it went right back because either for whatever reason, either he wanted something new or it didn't fit properly or whatever. But he's one of those guys, and this is good for the Stars in the NHL, especially for those who collect the Stars in the NHL. He wears his stuff for extended periods of time.
Oh yeah, well, it's funny because there's some things that you see. I mean, multiple seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and there's other things that you'll see just in and out pretty quickly. So it's kind of dependent on the type of gear, really. Sticks, obviously, and skates are more populated, but
Is there something that's been matched to the most games? Can you say, whether it's again, I don't want to sit here and put words in your mouth, but is it a stick? Is it is it the socks, as you mentioned? Everybody always talks about the Connor socks.
so the one thing that I think about the most is pants. Um, there's a couple pairs of pants that span. I mean, there's one I'd have to look it up. There's one that spanned 3 seasons, I believe. Um, before COVID, through COVID, and then there's actually a pair recently, his finals pants that I was going through all the games, 2 seasons worth. So I mean, all the way through Game 7, and then
That's
into this year. So
that's crazy, but kind of cool. And again, hockey players, Patrick, and again, you also know this from working on the inside. They are creatures of habit. They can be creatures of superstition, and if something works, then keep it on. So,
yeah.
are you finding that McDavid is one of those guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's I was trying to think. I believe those same pants were, what was it, 1,000th point? It was something like that. I think it might have been like 1,000th point this year. I think that was this year. And just the same pair, same gloves. Like it's just you'll see them from, I mean, springtime, and then it'll be almost springtime again, and it'll be using the same stuff. And maybe he'll alternate two pairs, but as for the pants, I mean, you'll see them, and then you'll see like a new pair a year and a half later.
It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 57, talking the Connor McDavid Game Worn Authentication Program at MeiGray and MeiGray.com, joined by Patrick Midney, our friend and Authentication Associate Supreme. By the way, quick reminder as we slide into summer, coming up on July 12th, it's the 20th anniversary, if you will, or the 20th event known as the Expo, MeiGray Expo, at the Raritan Valley Community College, the Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center in Branchburg, New Jersey. You can get early access to the summer sale. There are always displays par excellence. Reach out to Stu for dealer and collector information. There are always guests and the draft and just there are traditions. And you know what? You go there, you meet good people in the hobby. Do check it out. That comes up on July 12th. Before we talk about sort of extended use and collector response, is he a customization guy at all, Patrick? Are there, aside from you showed us the stick with the serial number and the barcode and what have you, are there other little tricks that have become fairly obvious when dealing with McDavid items?
I mean, I guess I could say like his tape job's pretty simple,
Consistent. Okay.
consistent. It changes color. I mean, he does like these small knobs in blue and orange,
Mm-hmm.
and those are pretty easily matchable. Um, and then I would say his gloves are interesting too because the screen print with his last name, sometimes it's white, sometimes it's orange. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of randomly changes, and sometimes he wears a mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that one's really not consistent, but there's nothing really I can say sticks out really besides that.
From your perspective, talk to me about collector response to single use game pieces and extended use game pieces. Obviously, people want wear, but also there are certain collectors who want something and want something now. Or if it's a milestone, they're like, can I grab that? There are different stories, different reasons. We all make collecting decisions in the hobby. Tell me about the perception and reception of extended versus perhaps single, even double game use pieces.
So, I mean, like you said, I mean, everybody, if you see a jersey that's one game only to a full set, 16 games, you're going to be more attracted to the one that's worn more. Some people like the cleaner ones.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Some people do prefer the cleaner jersey, or gear. But I mean, I think it's good to go back to the pants on this one. I'm going to keep touching on pants because I mean, it's just with McDavid, it's just so funny to me. Um, the finals pants, right? Match to Game 7 of the finals. Great Getty image with all the rats on the ice, and he wore those for 74 regular season games over the course of the lifespan, and then 25 playoff games. Um, and then so that's light use because then you have another pair that's 5 seasons. There was a Navy pair, five seasons. So,
That's
and I mean,
that's amazing to me that it's that. I mean, you've seen and touched a lot of NHL equipment. I think about like the NFL stuff that it's used for limited use and is hammered and smells like field and muddy field and stitch repair and faded numbers and just stains that you're like, I don't even know how the hell this happened over the course of the game. And then that I'm trying to wrap my head around that. And then McDavid's been using a pair of pants for X number of seasons. Like this isn't the NHL of old, Patrick, where teams didn't feel like spending and a lot of the games weren't necessarily on TV. So this wasn't even a thing. They're like, wear what you have, wear what we give you. We're gonna save money on this because we have to, I don't know, you want to stay in a better hotel? Screw the uniforms.
No, it's really funny too because like you know, it's weird how it changes the use because the pair that was 5 seasons, used in 5 different seasons was a Navy pair.
Hmm.
So you'd wear it with their alt jersey. He had his 500th point in those pants, and that one was about 48 games, or it was like 48 regular season and then like 10 playoff, and then you have the finals pants that were like 74 games and 25 playoffs, and then he had his 1,000th point in him this year, and it's just like, and trust me, you can tell they were used that long. I'll tell
Of
you that
course.
much.
Yeah, I would only begin to imagine. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 57. Our friend Patrick Midney, pmidney at MeiGray.com. Should you have any questions outside of the podcast, by all means, Patrick, one of the good guys in the hobby, happy to chat at any time. Authentication Associate Supreme. You're probably going to go back to the pants, but is there a coolest item on the McDavid of the McDavid pantheon, if you will, that you've had a chance to authenticate or even see, where you just it's like the case in Pulp Fiction where it just glows when you're like, oh, what is that?
Well, I've seen a bunch of the jerseys that we've had, when we had the Oilers program and, all the rookie jerseys, the farewell Rexall patch jerseys, a lot of interesting stuff like that. But I think you're right on the pants. The pants for me, like in the Panthers, and for me, it's the Getty image of him with the head down and the
Mhm.
rats all over the ice, and to have him right here, and then I say there was a huge black mark on the white striping, and it's just right there in the image, and it's just one of those things that you'd see on NHL Network type of pictures. It's just
Right.
great.
It's forever embedded in memories of Oiler fans. I'm certainly Panther fans and those who have seen, I don't know, a promo or a 30-second blurb or even a 3-second sort of bump back from a commercial, inside the Oilers Panthers matchup. And, will this be repeated? And you see this sort of solemn McDavid with the very pants he lay in, as I start to quote John O'Hurley in Seinfeld or whatever. The pants. All right. I'm just going to let that go. Tell me about demand for McDavid memorabilia over the last few years. Again, he's a surefire lock and load Hall of Famer, nearly 1,100 points in 9 seasons, 10 seasons, whatever it's been. And he just continues to blow the collective minds of hockey fans worldwide and collectors worldwide as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say certainly the demand's gone up. As a rookie, as one of the top, rookies coming in, I mean, years history. I mean, that's just. Yeah, there was high demand coming into the league, but I think as he sets the milestones and as he progresses further and gets to the Cup final 2 years in a row, everybody's like, I want some McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, now that the Oilers do the jersey sets in-house, I mean, they go up online, $25,000, those things sell immediately.
Yes. Yes.
So, like,
I'm
it's
I'm
it's
I'm
pretty.
pleasantly astonished when that happens because we're both members of online forums and people are like, oh yeah, they're dropping today, and I get the emails too from whatever the business is called. I always screw it up and I don't remember the website, but I'm like, oh yeah, they're and God bless. But nobody, I mean, no one is. There's no McDavid fatigue, nor should there be. He puts wear on it. You guys get great pieces. Is there something from your perspective, in the McDavid game worn authentication program that you see collectors are more interested in, and sort of is there a do you, you talk to these people? Obviously, that's what also makes MeiGray so good at being MeiGray. There's a connection between the folks who do the authentication, the folks behind the scenes, and the collectors, and you're always willing to chat, make time, and talk hobby with us. Do you get a sense that these are fans, collectors, somebody looking to buy now and put away gloves for a rainy day? Is there how do you describe those folks?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's tons of them because, yeah, the jerseys are expensive. So, not everybody's buying a McDavid jersey, especially with the supply and demand too, right?
Of course.
But, like I said before, the socks, right? It's a few $100. They're photo matched. Anybody that's buying jersey, if they want something McDavid that's, easily accessible, fairly easily accessible, they go for the socks. What I've seen the most too is sticks with everybody. Is sticks, they're connected to the goals. They're pretty decent chunk of change, but a lot of collectors are really into the sticks. I think it's a real middle ground for McDavid stuff. And, I think the collectors that you see on the forums at the expos, like the bread and butter area right there.
And there may be socks or sticks or Connor pieces at the MeiGray Expo upcoming at the Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center in Branchburg, New Jersey. Reach out to Stu Oxenhorn for dealer and collector information. Oxenhorn at meigray.com. And the date for that expo is July the 12th. Patrick will probably be there, smiling face and all.
Of
Pull out
course.
the Midney calculator, Patrick, as we continue with Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 57, talking Mr. McDavid, the Connor McDavid Game Worn Authentication Program. Pull out the Midney calculator and talk to me about if they should beat the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. What would that do to his evaluation? And again, you can say it'll go crazy. I'm not asking you for an added dollar value, or maybe you're like, I've been thinking about this and it's going to go up X percentage. Give me the Midney calc.
So my way of thinking about it is how I looked at it last year, right? When he made his first cup final. So I mean, you're talking what usually he sells for about 25,000 Canadian, and you were seeing on the auctions, I believe the first set that got auctioned went for around 75,000.
God
And
bless.
that just recently, actually, they did the game four jerseys, which was the 8-1 win when they were about to get swept. And I actually flew up to Edmonton for that, was sitting on the glass. It was a interesting trip,
Mm-hmm.
a wallet burner for an 8-1 loss. So, but it was like a record-setting game, McDavid point-wise, in the playoffs. That jersey sold for $101,000.
God bless.
So if I'm thinking Cup final, they go again to this year and they win, I mean, I would think that it's at least double that, at least.
Is there a dream McDavid item that you'd like to get your hands on and authenticate?
Oh, it'd be the Game 7 jersey from last year. Just because, as much as seeing the Panthers win was awesome, I mean, it was McDavid's first trip to the Cup final. And, I say it all the time now with going into this series is if I'm going to go down, because I'm going to go down for Florida, I might make the Edmonton trip again. If I see them lose to McDavid's first cup, I mean, that's a legendary moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the Game 7 jersey then, and then they'll see what happens this year. Maybe there'll be another one on the wish list for me.
All right, and actually, you've mentioned this a couple times, and we'll put it out there. Is there and can well, it's a yes or no. Can you give me an unbiased analysis of the upcoming final
Yeah.
between Edmonton and Florida? So it's all right. So yes. So now I'll follow it up with talk to me about the rematch. I mean, I can't wait. And as we record this, it's still a couple of days away, which is good. And this should be a very timely episode, as we like to say, and we love when that happens in this business. What are you thinking about this time around?
So for me, I look at it two ways, really, right?
Wait,
The
wait. Let me
Panthers.
let me pause this real quick. The
Yep.
reason I say unbiased is because for those of you who know Patrick or have seen Patrick in social media settings, he's been known to show up at a lot of Panthers games or decent ones, and he's doesn't shy away from the camera, and he's been known to sport some Panther sweaters. So there may be a lean that he's got a propensity for leaning one way, and it's not for the team from Alberta, it's the team from Florida. That's why I asked the question the way I did, and we don't hold that against you because we're all fans of different organizations. So now, Mr. Midney's analysis, take it with a grain of salt.
So for me, I think of it in two ways, right? The Panthers got stronger, I think,
Mm-hmm.
from last year. I mean, defense end, Seth Jones, huge pickup for them. Marchand, of course.
Yep.
Um, I think if they're shooting the puck, they're going to have success because I think the times when Edmonton is really strong is when their goaltending is really weak, and when the defense is really strong, when teams aren't getting many shots. So I think there's, if they're not getting the puck on net, I think it really depends on Skinner as well. But then or Picard, whoever's going to be playing throughout the series, we'll see. Um, but there's something about the rematch to me and McDavid and Draisaitl that I think that it really could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think either way it's going to be a stretched out series again. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Edmonton won. It's just it's who's
Understood.
there on what night. So
It's what happens. So I'll throw a couple of things, and again, this is just my 2 cents for whatever it's worth, and I don't even think it's worth 2 cents. The Skinner story's fascinating to me that he was plumb terrible and then replaced, and then Calvin P gets hurt, and it's back to Skinner, and he's been, aside from, I think he was in goal during the 5-goal third period against Dallas, and that's been it. And Dallas, for my nickel, again, worthless. I thought Dallas was the best team in the West. I thought they were fantastic, and Rantanen was ridiculous early. Edmonton did a job against the team that I thought was the best team in the West. And they did a job not not how I would have expected them to do the job. And Skinner, for the most part, Patrick, was marvelous. Like ridiculously way above his expected level. And I'm not a stat guy, but that's not who I think Stuart Skinner is. So I do tend to agree with you that, I mean, what was the Gretzky line about missing? You're not going to score with half the shots you never take, or whatever that Yogi Berra-ism is. I have no idea. I don't have it in front of me. So there's that. Florida. The funny part about this is I'm a bit of a Cap supporter and have been for years. I thought Carolina was the better team, and Carolina won that series against Washington. Florida looked like 3 times the team that Carolina did. If you were to stack up Florida and Carolina and Washington at the beginning of the playoffs, I would not have thought that one team was 300% better than the team they were eventually going to defeat, who humbled the Caps in 5 games or whatever it was. I thought the Caps were going to lose, but show better. Florida
I,
has been ridiculous.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean, I thought that, between Washington and Carolina, I thought if Washington made it, I thought they would have matched up better against Florida
Mhm.
personally.
Yes.
Um, so I mean, because you got some bigger guys on that team. If you're gonna you have Wilson, big factor, and I mean, I don't know the status of if McElrath would have been playing at that point, maybe they would have thrown him in for a game. But I think the way Florida plays, the grindiness and just the physicality, I think against a team like Carolina, it's hard to compete with.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, it's, the Caps epitaph has already been written and we're well past it. But the loss of Ferrari was
Yeah.
so, and I'll keep on saying so key to their defensive core. And much like, an offensive line where the guard and the center and the tackles have to get used to each other. If there's an injury on one side of the line, you guys gotta figure it out. Same thing for a defensive core. Even though they play 2 at a time, now all of a sudden somebody's moving up, somebody's moving in, somebody's moving up, somebody's moving in. You got brand new partners. A lot of these dudes were playing with each other for over the course of the year, and that's not to be understated. And for any NHL team, Alexiev came in and at times looked good and aggressive, and at times looked lost. And by the end of the Carolina series, Carlson looked lost too. And Chikrin, who had been so wonderful, they were just they were super scrambly. And you can't do that against a Carolina team that
Yeah.
shows up in waves. And that series ended the way it was supposed to end. But then Florida just took them to the woodshed. And I'm looking forward to a very, very good, final series. You touched on this briefly. If McDavid does win the cup this year, I can only imagine what it's going to do for collector excitement. And again, it's a hobby, but there's value attached to this. You want to take a stab at what the market might look like for a 97 this stick socks like that. People are going to go crazy for this stuff. He's already a playing living legend, Patrick. This will be gravy.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because depending on what happens, who's to say whatever inventory's sitting won't just go?
Yes,
That's
it's what
my biggest thing.
happens. Right.
Yeah,
It's what happens. If he doesn't win a cup this season, I still think he's going to win one during
he'll get
Edmonton.
one.
Yeah, how about at least or just one? I mean, this is a very hard thing to do, by the way, to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with the Oilers at least, they had huge problems in the past with goaltending. They had huge problems with defense.
Hmm.
So I mean, because the big argument I always had was, I think Evan Bouchard's a great player, more offensive-minded defenseman, and your best defensive shutdown guy was Darnell Nurse for the longest time. And I mean, you got a top-loaded front end that's like you don't really need the
And now
Bouchard scoring.
And now, I mean, you're getting very good spot scoring and opportunistic by a guy who knows how to do it in Corey Perry, who's almost
Mhm.
my age, God bless him. And then you also have to wrestle with the loss of Zach Hyman, who, you know, sure, can turn it on and can get hot. I mean, nobody wants to lose any player who's a regular in their lineup. Nobody wants to lose any regularly contributing player. Like, again, we just talked about what the Caps defense looked like after a key injury. This is one of your top six forwards. This guy can score. This guy's had 50 goal seasons in the league. I mean, you want everybody to be healthy at this
Yeah.
time of the year. And sadly for Edmonton, that's not the case. And I don't want that to be, I don't want that to be the narrative going in. Oh, if they were totally healthy, I'm still looking forward to it, Patrick.
They typically too. I mean, like the Yan Marks, and now they got what Kasperi Kapanen too. I mean, it's just like you need
Guys
guys like
are
that.
hitting.
So
Right. Yes. And you saw that during the series against Dallas. It wasn't just, yes, it wasn't just Perry, Draisaitl and McDavid. And yes, agree. All right. Before we get to overtime, which is always fun, by the way, quick reminder, Expo, July 12th, Expo number 20 for our friends at MeiGray. If you have never been, go there, meet a friend in the hobby you haven't met yet, or meet people that you've not talked to in person and see their tables, see their sweaters, reach out to them through social media. It's for darn sure that we've all communicated with one another via numerous methods, text and whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I never met Patrick, or I never met Dave, or Barry, or Stu, or Jim, or or Casey, or pick your favorite collector through the years. This is a chance because so many people show up at the MeiGray Expo. Again, it's July 12th, Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center in Branchburg, New Jersey. For more information, reach out to our buddy, who you should also meet, Stu Oxenhorn, one of the most lovable characters in all of the hobby, Oxenhorn at MeiGray.com. Don't chuckle, Midney. Before we get to overtime, certain bank card, credit card company uses the very memorable slogan, "What's in your wallet?" as their motto. Let's paraphrase. What's in your closet these days as far as new additions? And even though there are two teams left standing, the collectors in the NHL world, just like the collectors in the NBA world, just like the collectors in the base, you collect, you buy, sell, and trade out of season. So things, even though your team may not be there, Patrick's lucky, his team is one of the last two standing. People are still moving, shaking, and making deals on the regular. What do you got, Midney, of late that might be of interest for people? And not that, NFS, JFS just for show, not for sale. What's new that's gotten you sort of reinvigorated, a little excited in the closet?
well, a lot of people that know what I collect. So I got my Panthers and my Islander stuff, Whaler stuff. But most of it is like I like a lot of minor league fighters. That's
Mm-hmm.
my big thing, enforcer collection. And I've been getting a ton of one of my teams is the Hartford Wolfpack. So I've been getting a ton of guys. One of them's a Matt Rempe. But I
Kind of
have a
cool.
few I have a few old styles like that, and then just some like stadium series jerseys or old fighters. Like I got a Brashear recently, like stuff like that I just fill in the cracks.
Very, very cool. I added, and I put it up, and again, kudos. I believe I mentioned this before. Photo Match Friday comes up like once a month on the MeiGray page on Facebook and through Instagram, the gram. And it's just really cool because collectors get to share. I was lucky enough to pick up from MeiGray, MeiGray.com, during this memorable cap season. Cut too short, but it was what it was. I got a Jacob Chikrin white set two. And it wound up being worn a couple extra games because of stuff behind the scenes. I think, the manufacturer didn't get the caps there, and they wound up wearing it a little extra, which, hey, if you're a collector, bonus, Patrick. This thing came to me. Dave Mizell, I reached out and I was talking to him about this, and I had pre-ordered it a long time ago. And Chikrin had two goals against the Pittsburgh Penguins in a Saturday afternoon rout, and then the Caps came home and they continued to play well. I think they routed the Edmonton Oilers. It was around that time of the season that things really started to get gritty. There was a game, speaking of gritty, there was a game against the Flyers, and something happened. I'm trying to do a little bit more digging and investigation. Chikrin got I think it's the left hem. up the hip, there's like a 7 to 10 inch repair along that. And I was happy to share it on Photo Match Friday. It's beautiful, just beautiful. So when I was contacting Dave about the sweater, because MeiGray gets them in and they call you, they're like, by the way, we've got the shipment in. It's time to settle up. If you've pre-ordered, to everybody who enjoys that experience, and sales at MeiGray.com, or reach out to Patrick, reach out to Dave, reach out to anybody at MeiGray. It's a blast. Hey, Scott, it's time to settle up. And I just said, sure, of course. Here you go. Can you tell me about the sweater? And Dave messages back and he goes, it's got 2 repairs. You'll like it. And he wasn't lying. It's got 1 repair on 1 arm that's very small. And then I get the box. I get the box at work and I open it up and I go, 2 repairs. Where's the set? Oh my goodness. Patrick, kid during pick your favorite holiday, whatever your denomination, I was happily astonished to add this chikrin to my collection.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a great player, and you love see. I had a Wilson, same thing, huge repair on it. It's just you with how little wear you see on some jerseys nowadays, having those really, really big ones. It's like it's nice.
Super, super lots of fun. So that's probably the one recent addition that I'd love to talk about, and happy to share pictures with it. Reach out to me on Facebook. Some of you have, which is always makes me happy. All right, overtime. We'll do this to close the pod today. It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 57. Thanks for hanging out with us. Connor McDavid, Game Worn Authentication Program. Again, any questions? There are items, and reach out to Patrick. He's got the intel on what's next and what's happening and what's coming in, and obviously with the finals ahead, there's going to be socks. There's going to be sticks. It's always cool stuff. And again, with the authentication and the integrity of the MeiGray family, it's going to be a pleasant and pleasurable experience. One with, again, I'll use the I word, integrity. Overtime. So today, on the day that we record this, U.S. Open's coming up. It's in Oakmont, in just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it's part of sort of the rota like they do for the Open Championship, where the British has it at here, 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 and here, and they keep it. But Oakmont has hosted, Oakmont has hosted U.S. Opens before, much like Bethpage, much like Olympia, much like you name it, much like Marion, much like. So anyway, you get the gist. It's been here in Congressional in the DC area. I went to the regional or sectional qualifying. Patrick, in all the years that I've lived here, and they've had the qualifying at the golf tournament before, at the golf course before. Woodmont is a private club, super exclusive. It's easy to get to. It's right on Rockville Pike, 10 minutes from my house. It's across from a Best Buy and behind a Lido Pizza and a Duck Donuts. But it's gorgeous and exclusive, and the members there, God bless. I'm sure it ain't cheap, all that stuff. I have never been to such an event. It's open to the public. You drive up to the country club and it says complimentary parking. You're basically parking in their front lawn. So I took my son and my older son, who's home from college for the summer, and we went. And there's no ropes, there's no cameras, and for those of you who have attended this stuff, it's really, really cool. We followed a gentleman named Ryan McCormick. You can look Ryan McCormick up. I believe he's from Middletown, New Jersey, and he plays on the Corn Ferry. Ryan McCormick. So you play 36 holes today. And there's 4 spots available. If you're one of the top 4, you're going to Oakmont and you're going to play in the U.S. Open over Father's Day weekend. Ryan McCormick has an interesting backstory. If you Google him, it says Ryan McCormick taped his mouth shut because he wanted to help him control his cursing and anger problem. And I paraphrase the headline. We were there, my son Justin and I, and Patrick, he missed a makeable putt for him, not for me, for him. And we were like 2 of 5 people following his group. There's a guy last name Lawrence from Henrico County in Virginia. Another guy named George Bryan. He was part of the threesome. We're like right there, like right next to them. But to see McCormick shot 4 under in his morning round. I hope he does well. I'd love to see him play. And I would just say, I followed that guy a couple weeks ago. It's such a cool thing that you are feet away. Bubba Watson and Lee Westwood, who are in town to play the Live Tour event at Trump National in Northern Virginia later this week as we record. They were supposed to be there, but they withdrew. But other names, like Stuart Sink, who's been on the pro circuit for quite some time. Brendan Steele is out there. There's a handful of other guys, but it's the People's Championship, and you can qualify and make it. Have you ever attended something like this? Give me a quick golf story.
Also, in Connecticut, I'm from Connecticut. They have the Travelers Championship.
Absolutely, the Travelers, of course.
So I've been there a few times. One of my buddies actually getting married up there next month, or actually it's June now, this month,
There you
and it's
go.
it's Travelers Weekend, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm in the wedding, but I also, I'm a big Happy Gilmore guy,
Okay.
and word on the street is I and another MeiGray coworker here are going to be extras in the new Happy Gilmore movie. So that's a really good golf/hockey story that I got.
That's very cool. I will be sure to catch the trailer. The trailer's already out. The movie's coming out soon. They are promoting it like you don't know. All right, before we get the heck out of here, NBA Finals pick. You already gave me, some unbiased opinions on the NHL, on the Stanley Cup Final between Florida and Edmonton. Who you got? Oklahoma City is heavily favored, and they
Yeah.
look like a wagon, as the kids say. But the Pacers were quality in taking out the Knicks, and Halliburton's got something special going on. So does Siakam.
I mean, I want to see the Thunder just
Mm-hmm.
because after Westbrook left and it was a whole thing, and I think now it'd be really cool to see them win.
I totally understand. All right, last thing. Summer barbecue season has started. Mustard or ketchup on the staple known as a hot dog. Slow hanging
Uh,
or
I-
beef.
I'm deli mustard only, brown type of mustard, and I gotta throw
My man.
sauerkraut on
My man,
it.
Midney. I've grown as I've gotten older. I'm good with sauerkraut now. Normally, I'm
Yeah,
just a mustard onions guy. Ketchup to
onions
me,
too.
yeah. Oh yeah, but I'll if sauerkraut's there, I'll throw it on. Ketchup to me, and I have very dear friends and family members who love it. This is how you get dad, as it is. If you want dad to not touch the fries, put ketchup all over it.
Yeah,
Those are yours. Won't
not a ketchup guy. I got
no.
that.
All right, no food talk. Talk plenty about Connor McDavid, taking you behind the scenes. Tales from the Warehouse 57, episode 57, volume 57. We should have made it like volume 97, but we're 40 short. We'll get there, not to worry. The Connor McDavid Game On Authentication Program, joined today by Patrick Midney, easy for me to say, Authentication Associate Extraordinaire, P. Midney at MeiGray.com. Don't forget, Expo, July 12th. Hope to see you there. Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center in Branchburg, New Jersey. Loads of information still to come. Reach out to Stu Oxenhorn, soxenhorn at MeiGray.com. For Patrick, I'm Scott. Till next time, the warehouse is closed.